Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's episode of Poetry Live. Tonight I'm reading some David Harsent from his Fire Songs collection. So, hello, Queen Babyface, hello Noel, hello Susan, welcome. Hello Blanks, hello, good to see you. Hello Rob and Danny. How is everybody feeling this evening? Hello. Hi, hello, Lally, hello. Welcome everyone, welcome. Very, very excited about this. I'm not sure how many of you know David Harsent. He's quite a new poet in the scheme of things, winning lots of awards, absolutely a fabulous poet. So I'm very, very excited to read this for you. He, as a modern poet, he has the soul and the voice of a far more mature, older poet lurking behind there. So hopefully you'll all really enjoy that. Oh my goodness me. Hello Taz, hello Martin, hello Arcadina, hello everyone, hello, come in. How are you all? Hello Barris, hello Scream. How are you? Welcome to Poetry Live. Now, as I say, doing some David Harsent, so thoroughly excited about sharing this with you. Quite a mystical collection, this. Lots of old folklore and witchcraft and burning and fire to entertain you with tonight. So, I am about to start reading some poetry by David Harsent. Every night at this time, I pop onto Periscope and I go and share some wonderful poetry with this wonderful audience. And as long as they keep coming along, I'll keep reading stuff to them. So, hello everyone. I hope you're all sitting very comfortably. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, and thank you for the hearts. And thank you for the sharing as well, by the way. The sharing means a lot. It means that wonderful people can come and find out what we're doing. So Lally, or however I pronounce that name, gets to come along and see what we're doing. So welcome. I'm going to open with Fire. A song for Mistress Askew. The firebug rises whistling from the fire. Slats laid on the overlap, branches at a pitch. As for Anne Askew, wordless under torture, so broken the hangman's crew carried her to the stake, a seat where she sat astride. It has come to this, bramble and thorn, lumber and junk, dead stuff, whatever would burn. Charge and denial, the bold accounts of martyrdom, the mechanics at work, their gift of transformation, torchlight and iron. She stripped to her shift unbidden and climbed up to the machine when it took hold. She was lifted clear of the bed, her body hard strung, the wrench and crack of green stick. Notebook. She belled but spake no word, and silence always her gift. The frame of her in the fire, black to the bone, her head a smoking cinder, smiling. Some stood close enough to catch the howl and roar of flame in the summer wind, as it fed close enough to hear the shrivel hiss of burning hair, to see her sag and slump, to witness the pucker and slide of her skin, the blister ash on her eyeballs. In the fire lies your salvation, Anne, they said. What greater thing than the brush of his hand? as he stoops to take up your soul. Notebook, Hare Newgate poem. A woman poor and blind, more enemies now I have than hairs upon my head. She stood her ground. Then the bishop said I should be burnt. Anne, you are nothing to me, only that you knew best how to unfasten your gown while they waited at the rack. Only that she was hard pressed, which I can't now shake from my mind. Only that black flux flowed from you, and they let you void and bleed. I set this fire in a hard frost, early evening. The garden's winter leavings, the unretrievable, the piecemeal burdens, paraffin to start it, then dry woof. And I saw her ghost chained there, the woodcut from Fox's axe, and monuments that hung on the chapel wall, beside the light of the world, a mild-mannered Christ, his jaunty crown of thorns. The minister's stage effects were rage and unforgiveness. His colours red and red again, which were heart's blood and hell-fire, the least of us already lost. Notebook, Johann Bale, her apologist. By the foreheads understand she that hates or minds of men. And then Christ would speak in dark similitudes, and of her judges. They breed cockatrice eggs and weave the spider's web. That they gave her cripple water that she ate, spoiled meat. That this was her penance, that she saw those long nights through bedded on stone and straw. That women in the garden by the white tower turned to one another amazed. What is that animal? The river beat hour after hour as they racked her back from the Watergate. That job taken in hand by Withrosey and Richard Rich, then the pyre at Smithfield, those there to watch, Norfolk Bonabow's priests, judges, one and all, the devil's dishwashers, before they lit the stack. Shaxton preached repentance, broken she listened, the crowd stood round in a ring 10 deep and felt the scorch. Notebook, Johann Bale in sorrow. So had Anne Askew the flaming brands of fire, nor screamed until the first flame reached her breast. My dream of her puts me in close by, her poor bare feet, her shift just catching a flame that chases the line of the hem. And when I wake in sunlight, that flare is the flare in her eye, that rising note in my ear, the singing deep in green branches, that low rumble, her blood at a rolling boil. And what she screams from the centre now, as her hair goes up in a rush, as her fingers char, as the spit on her tongue bubbles and froths, as she browns from heel to head, as she cracks and splits, as she renders to spoil. The only thing she can get to me through the furnace as I lean into her is yes, it will be fire. It will be fire. It will be fire. there. Thank you everyone. Thank you Susan. Thank you Claire. Thank you. Thank you Arcadina. Thank you everyone. It is very dark, Noel. Very dark indeed. Indeed, Taz. It's a wow poem. This collection won the T.S. Eliot Prize for Poetry a couple of years back. David Harsent is a fabulous, wonderful poet. And that was his recanting of the witch trials, which is fabulous. Fabulously written. But if you want to read good books on witches, what's the name of it? Jeanette Winterton wrote something for Hammer about some witches, and it's wonderful, and it's dark, and it's quite short, and you should read it. And I've forgotten the name of it, but it's on the thing downstairs. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you liked it when I came close to the camera. Trying to put in a bit more theatre for you here. I do enjoy it. Anyway, this next poem by David Harsent is quite a long one. But we like I like reading long poetry to you guys. You guys don't seem to mind me reading long poetry to you. And long poetry can be good sometimes if structured well. And this one is structured fabulously well. So I'm going to read you A Dream Book by David Harsent. Will you lie with me? Will you lie with me? Will you lie? Was all he found to ask before she turned away. They were in a place they mistook for a place of safety. Its one-way doors and two-way glass. The voice creep in the walls, her image by and by, going from room to room without hindrance or trace. Wings out of cloud light, that was their stock in trade, the sound of it in the offing, feather and blood, rapid whap-whap of the slipstream, something like fire in a shifting wind, or a seascape when light broke on rockfall, and she went to the edge as if she might shed her skin in one slick strip, if only he would turn and look. Where the dead go, through in their finery, where they go among remnants of themselves, soft, jostle, slow, promenade a torrent of whispers, and leave a terrible press on the air, suffocation to the living, no more, no less than weight of sorrow, weight of loss, memory as vacuum, love unpicked, what last words allow. A path with 7 gates, and then a path through corn, under rolling clouds they went knee-deep. The torn bodies of hare and hen, of rat and crow, the dog at full stretch, white eyes of the skinned doe, her dog's wept milk and the buzzard, then its slow drift onto roadkill, straw light on the fields at dawn. In the house a room, in the room a chair. He sat and fell silent, then the pale executrix, subtle in grey, and no hint of what might be said, or else denied. It was rain of day, that much had been predicted. She knew it was right to lean in, lean down, and give him the news. Now they aren't, but no. Her lips by his ear, almost musical. A tone. City streets before sunrise. The shape of himself in mist, as if somehow a shadow had been cast, that he might catch and fill, though he walked as someone might who was holding off pain. She thought they would surely meet, turning a corner, face to face or hand to hand at last, and just then the sun struck through and he was lost in light. Deep reaches of sleep until the unforeseen moment, like fugue, like petit mal, some kind of sign, a touch from a joker's finger to let him know what's right, what's wrong with a dream within a dream, a sudden slight shift in the order of things, and all the past undone. He left what was left of himself in her care that night. They went to the river and dropped their clothes on the bank. She struck out. He followed in the long, slow V of her wake. She could sound and surface, bringing back with her what other lovers had dumped. Hotel bell gimcrack ring, a four-square shot from the photo booth. Later, they dipped their bottles and drank. She looked at him and laughed. "You think you're safe? You're not." Rain coming in across grassland, hard and fast in rising dusk. She lives in his mind's eye. He has her there, all love, all risk, and again in the dusk of daybreak, as if she could be to hand somehow, caught in the moment, that common ground of rainfall and half light. Yes, as if she might ask nothing more than to stay and map that hinterland. In this, her fool is deaf and dumb and twirling a pink parasol. In this, he's doing a chicken dance. He turns away and puckers up for a kiss. He's their stalker, familiar spy. His slippery grin is all lipstick and green teeth, words to the wise, or copping laugh, or catcall. In this, who watches from cover, maestro of the deadfall, he goose-steps them out of the tunnel of love and into the house of glass. A rearrangement of stars. The long, low, intergalactic groan of light unfolding in vastness. The pair of them pitched between nothing and nothing else. Words that could never be spoken into such depth. The glance between them unbroken. Through godless years of reaching until they see and are seen. In the very moment true light dies and returns at once as token. Nothing so bright as this distance they walk into, silhouettes in a film where the lovers abandon everything, all bets off. The supporting cast crowding the screen, trying to guess how it happened and why. Children fearing the press of years, wide-eyed and calling. Nothing so crass as the credits rolling up to a screamo version of No Regrets. As she walked towards him across the ice field, the sky sank, and so she was held between white and white. And by he watched as she walked towards him through the deep grey rain, and caught between form and fire as she walked towards him, seeming naked, flowing backed by the sun. And soon she walked towards him, appearing so, as if in memory. She comes in as Columbina. Comes in as Lady M, comes in as the rank stupendous, all hips and lips and painted skin, comes in as someone he knows, comes in wearing her life mask, tip of the tongue, gleam of a tooth, glad eye, her shrilly laugh, knocking back the walls, and here's the fine line drawn between loved and lost, come in the complacent wife. The house might be known to them. Someone has drawn a face on the wall in dampened ash and written below, unborn. Ash from the grate. In the kitchen, a meal half-eaten, fruit gone to mush, maggots in meat, a web of mould on bread. Too late for whoever it was to have back what they used to own. The mould is blue and beautiful, and infinitely delicate. A beeline out to the edge, blind to all else, the sudden reach underfoot of unseen ground, or else a parapet, the lurch over the sill held off, but only just, and the sea where it runs, blue-black under the tilt of the cliff. Now music, a dream-time soundtrack, cymbals and strings, and something that might be the catch in her throat as she feels his hand on her hair, on her rump, on the small of her back. A town on a grid. High roads and side roads and alleys. She went through seeming real enough. It would be folly, of course, to track her like that. Best to find her reflection in the smoked glass windows of office blocks. A kind of redaction, herself a cipher, spectre of the concrete valleys, her smile, a smile of tireless contradiction. In the margins they find one another in fault lines where it's silences or half-heard music, and the last light drains from a low cold sky to leave them dark in one another's gaze and touchless as they sleep, night long in those narrows, then wake to the same failing light, to moonrise, to music and chains. They pass each other unseen. That's commonplace. They walk the cross streets with a stalker's pace. They are fervent in pursuit. They stop to listen or call. They live with a changeless image of the real. They are given over to errant thoughts of grace. They go with their hands held out to nothing at all. To him, the room is a cell. Its iron bed, its single shelf of unreadable books. Nothing to bring or leave, nothing of himself to her, a place of peace and light, the caged bird on the sill in constant song, the edge of sleep, that fine and full suspension of the will. She goes to the mirror to find him looking back, but standing still, as if she might join him there, as if she might somehow bridge that sudden gulf. Man of secrets, a woman of guile, her artless mime, her willing smile. They meet this side of an open door. His touch is light, her touch is sure. The Dutch shuts on the rank and file. He plays the fool, she plays the whore. The world of windows, their reflections leave them dumb. The trip made without knowing how, though it must have been in sleep, given the scent of wild flowers, the rock-faced sun through cloud, and the near impossible path to the top. Love is a kind of greed. They know that, and live by it. Faux bridegroom and faux bride. Light flows on the grass. Turning away, they let each other slip. A white room, empty of everything except themselves, the door a seamless part of it. A window set on the blind side and the floor somehow sketched in. A word will go for nothing through a cry is a colourless compression in the air, no way of saying why the space that lies between them seems to roll out so far, or how a different angle might set them eye to eye. Moonrise over moorland. She strolls into that perfection half asleep. He watches from cover. Each wrong direction is evidence of loss. Something runs through. There's salt in the wind. She turns her back. He would like to call a halt, but the dream is no one's plaything, no one's fault. Dew pools next morning carry the moon's infection. A house on a hill is how they'll think of it. A full wind to shake the place, nimbus cloud slant-eyed, rain even as planned. They bolt the doors. They drop the window blinds. Their sleep is near to death, and they lie face on as if the dream might slip from one head to the next, then wake in separate rooms and find their own way back downhill in the wet, crosswise against the slope. They're watching a train go by, or they're on the train, looking out. They wave to one another, and yes, they own something of this. A dawn sky in Typolo blue, and blue smudge the view from the window, the view from the hillside where they stand, except the stain of their faces in the glass, indelible, is all that's true. What she said to him then changed everything. The moonlight held off from sunrise and birdsong. He heard someone cough. In a far room, a moth turned in the lamplight. Although it was something he knew it wouldn't come right. He got up and walked to the door, and why wouldn't she laugh at just that moment? Why wouldn't she follow him out into the street? She became a ghost in the kitchen, a ghost in the bed. This was in her other life. It slept. It held by a thread. They went out. The ground beneath their feet was plush with pine needles. They left a trail of trash to see them back. Certain small secrets, things better left unsaid. They walked in each other's footsteps. That alone was rash. The cave is starlit, and it smells of sleep. She displaces her body shape in air. Here are those traces of herself she left or lost. Yes, these and more, but she's held by the music in water. It goes to the core, this residue of sorrow, hallmark of their hidden places, common ground where they stand against the law. Their hands collide. They turn and stare. They try to remember what was said. They wonder why things are as they are. They find themselves in the same place at the same time, not knowing how, and there the game plays out. A cold, flat moon fixed in a cold, flat sky. Whatever it was that fell between dream and dream, rooms within rooms, something like a maze. They call to each other. They stop to knock the walls. She tries his other name. He finds her voice. When he turns this way, she turns that, the choice of no choice. When she walks off, he stays. They are blind to one another, face to face, where there is massing on the far side of a hill, something like a rolling sea, building its bulk offshore and set to take everything in sight. They wait for rain to heave above the crest. They guess the till of the wind. They hope they'll soon be lost in the spread of it, bruise blue, and hope it might break over their bare bowed heads, a blessing on the unblessed. Go back to when she slipped the latch, to when he walked in and climbed to her room by way of ladders and gantries, to when he had his first full taste of the spittle of her lip. To when they hold up, four walls and windowless, to her shape in the mirror, a watermark to the weight of skin on skin, to guilt, to the scent of men's deep and ripe in another place. But a place like this they will find shelter in a doorway. Sooner or later he will take her hand and cover it with his. She will feel the cool of stones, heliotrope, as they fall into her palm. When she leans against him, her eyes grey with rain, they will understand how it works, the shape of his bones, the shape of her bones. Her dreaming is missed connections, misheard echoes, signs misread is fragments and patchwork, is sight of herself on a road that starts up at her back and ends a short step ahead, with just enough air to breathe, just enough light to guide, and a dead weight in her hands that could be something like a memory, or could be the dream itself, heavy with things unseen, unsolved, unsaid. Dreamless sleep, not even a measure of the formless black that holds him, something like void and voidance back to back, which must be what death is to the end. A night wind slaps the shutters, rain comes in sudden and sharp. Every lapsed moment then, not fault but accident, not loss but lack, and dark-eyed Thumbelina's round his bed as he sleeps. And that is the end, the wonderful, wonderful end of A Dream Book by David Harsent. Wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely. But my other favourite poetry collection is John Berryman's Dream Songs. My favourite director is David Lynch. I've got a thing about dream narratives, and this one's wonderfully put together, but some of the images in there, wonderful, wonderful, powerful, strong images striking the mind. Eyes grey with rain, dark-eyed Thumbelinas, the light spreading across the glass. All wonderful stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, Susan, by the way, for your lovely comment. I hope you do get a chance to catch it on the replay. But thank you, all of you, for bearing with me on that long tale. Well, it's not the longest narrative poem that we've ever read, but wonderful to do. Thank you, Nelcha and Scream and Arkadina and Taz, for joining with me for that adventure. Unfortunately, having just flicked left and right, I can see Periscope has gone and played up and dropped my comment, as it sometimes does do, so I can't see any of your comments coming through. I was with you all up until somebody came in and asked where I was from, just after Susan asked, after Susan complimented the reading, and then they all disappeared. But a big, massive thank you to all of you for coming to tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed sharing that with you. Tomorrow we're returning to the land of Ezra Pound, and we've gone and done the shorter Ezra Pound poetry. Tomorrow we'll go and look at some of Ezra Pound's longer poetry, which will also be fascinating. Lots of good fun. Hope you guys enjoy me for that. We'll have thunderstorms and raining to share with you all then. But until then, wherever you are, have a wonderful night, morning, evening, afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. Sorry that I can't see your comments. I'll catch them in catch after this. Bye bye.